Another tornado warning. Let's get it right into Elizabeth for the latest on the new warning just issued.
There are three counties that this warning encompasses. It's going to be Nash County, Franklin County, and Warren County. It's right near Red Oak right now. And of course, as all of these storms have been doing, it's going to be moving to the northwest at about 35 miles per hour or so. So let's jump on in. We're going to zoom in really closely to where the circulation is showing up. And that's going to be just north of Red Oak. I'm going to put this into motion too, and we'll lapse this and you can see which direction that is headed. It was a fairly quick spin up, and you can see in the last couple of frames here, it's definitely looking a little bit tighter. We get most concerned when we see some of those brighter red colors next to the green colors, but definitely some rotations starting to form here. So that is why the Weather Service has issued this new warning. So again, just north of Red Oak, we will, I'll stop the loop and we'll talk a little bit more about where that is and where it's headed. If we take a look here, it's about to move across West Hillardston Road, Wheeless Cabin Road, a couple of other ones. We've got the town of Aventon. It would then move potentially over towards Centerville and Wood. And if it holds together long enough, we're looking at Lickskillet, Alert, and Inez potentially could be in the line of this particular system. Let's look at a couple of things with this. I'm going to go through and we'll take a look at our shear rotation detector here, and we'll loop that. And again, you can see kind of the time frame for this as it started up. Excuse me. And you can see it continues to move along State Highway 43 toward Wheeless Cabin Road, toward Aventon. So the community of Aventon, if you're in the community of Aventon, you are in line for this very, very shortly. We'll widen out the view just a little bit more, see if I can pick out a few more. It's likely to be just north of Castalia, but Castalia is certainly in that warning frame there. And Essex, Wood, Centerville, any of those places, you need to be moving into your safe place. It's been interesting to watch these this morning. If you happen to be just checking in, we've had 3 confirmed tornadoes already this morning. A lot of times with tropical systems, these rotations will just kind of spin up and spin down pretty quickly. But we've had at least 3 instances where we've had some damage where the detection, the debris detector has shown actual debris in the atmosphere, which is a good indicator of a tornado that's on the ground doing some damage. So we're going to be watching this very, very carefully. There definitely is looking like there's some rotation here. Again, kind of zooming in closer to where we are, Hillardston Road, Wheeless Cabin Road, State Highway 43, Cooper Road, headed over Aventon and then toward Wood, potentially along Taylor Store Road. State Highway 561. I heavily encourage you to take this seriously and to get into your safe place. Your safe place would be a basement if you have one. If you don't have a basement, on the first floor, look for a room that doesn't have any windows, like potentially a closet or a bathroom. So just can't be too careful in this situation as we have this situation, of course, developing, and it has been all morning for us. You can see I look at the rotation tracker. We've had just numerous tracks of these storms in the same general location. These are all along one of the rain bands that has just been sitting there and just pumping moisture and wind into our viewing area from off the coast. Let's take a look at what's happening sort of big picture. I'm going to loop this really quickly, just so you can kind of see where we are. It's good to kind of get your bearings where this is. So this is going to be north and east of Raleigh, sort of halfway between I-85 and I-95. So if you're in that area, those little towns that we were talking about, you definitely need to take shelter. I'm going to send it over to Anthony, taking a look also at some of that heavy rain associated with this.
Lots of rain with it, Elizabeth, yes. And this is that tornado warning. I'm going to leave this kind of in a wider view for you right there. I do have the latest bulletin that the National Weather Service just put out. They say this goes until 11 o'clock this morning for that warning. It does not include Red Oak right now, but let's even zoom in a little bit more here. It's zipping on by, though. It's moving out of the northwest at 45 miles an hour. That's what a lot of these are doing. They kind of blink and you miss them as far as the warning is concerned. Red Oak is just on the edge of this. Castalia, you see right there, also on the edge. We go in a little bit closer. In fact, I'm going to put on where the potential rotation could be. It's pretty weak at this point, not necessarily a strong rotation, but if we are seeing some rotation, there may be a couple pockets within those circled outlines right there. That's, again, fairly broad, if you will. I-95 there off on the eastern part of your screen. We check out if we're seeing any and all debris. There's been a couple cells this morning where that certainly has been a concern. I do not see any at this point. So that's some good news here. We may see it kind of cycling where it starts to fizzle back out and then maybe down the line tries to be a little bit more rotating again, if you will. There may be two little pockets of rotation showing up right there. We go back to the reflectivity. This would potentially be heading, if it holds together, we'll see if it does, up toward Henderson. It's going to be getting closer to Warrenton, Littleton. You're just to the north of the rotation there, but a lot of rainfall showing up. No lightning at this point, Elizabeth. That's something that's been interesting, but since it's a tropical system, it just has that spin, something we're watching here with this tornado warning.
It's been quite a morning. We had our first warning at about 2:15 this morning, and we've just had them coming and going really all morning long. So as Anthony said, this tornado warning expires at 11 o'clock, so we've got about 20 minutes to watch this. It's good to hear that there's nothing showing up on the debris detector, so it doesn't look like this tornado is touching the ground. But, you know, in a situation like this, where we've had so much ground truth to these, you know, tornadoes tend to sort of bounce like pogo sticks. And so it can bounce and hit the ground and cause some damage even after it's been up in the cloud for a little while. So you want to take this seriously. You definitely want to get into your safe place if you're in this area. Let's pick out a couple more of those towns and roads that are along the line of where we may be seeing this headed. So Avonton would be one. Let's see, we've got Taylor Store Road, we've got State Highway 561, Richardson Road, lots of little state roads out there. If it holds together far enough, Lickskillet and Inez would be communities. Oh, there's another one, Wood, Centerville. Those are all places where if you're there, you need to get into your safe place, in the basement, or potentially in a place where you're on the first floor. We'll take just a different look. There are a lot of different ways that we can look at spin in the atmosphere, and this is our rotation detector. We'll lapse this so you can see sort of the speed and the area where this is developing, and it's moving along pretty rapidly. Right now we're just showing some green colors, which is typically some weak rotation, but again, as I mentioned, you know, tornadoes can drop out of the cloud even if it's got some weak rotation and spin up in these situations pretty quickly. But it's fairly loose rotation, it looks like right now. Again, moving across Wheeless Cabin Road, there's Taylor Store Road, State Highway 561. That's going to be the general area where we're seeing some of these. So get into your safe place, hunker down. Just about 15 or so more minutes of this. This is all due to a rain band. We've just had we're on our 17th tornado warning of the morning, which is almost unheard of for us here in North Carolina. But this is the rain band right here, coming off the coast and moving up to, say, Vance County and over towards, say, just north of Durham. Along that line is where we've seen most of the tornadoes spin up this morning, and that's continuing to be where we see the bulk of this. We'll zoom in on that. I was hoping that we were maybe done with it because it looks like the line is beginning to break up a little bit. We'll zoom in and starting to see some of that lifting northward, especially, say, over Halifax County is kind of breaking up a little bit, but still enough energy and enough friction and rotation for there to be another warning. So this one just came out. We'll have to update our number now to 17. We've had 3 confirmed tornadoes, and again, we've been on the air since about 2:17 with these warnings. Rocky Mount Mills seeing lots of heavy rain. For safety reasons, the basement is the best place to be if you happen to have one, and if not, you want to be on your first floor with an interior room. That gives you the most protection of walls between you and that tornado damage that may be happening. So a bathroom is a good place to be, or a closet is also a good place to be. Some of our confirmed tornadoes already this morning. The first one, 251 with extensive damage. Smithfield Middle School in Wilson County, 10 homes damaged and 1 fatality, unfortunately. But you can see the debris detector here. Instead of the yellows and pinks, you see that blue area. That is where the tornado touched down and lifted some debris into the atmosphere. And our radar can detect that. And so that's a very good tool to let people know that this is a dangerous situation. We have a tornado on the ground that's causing some damage. We saw that again here at about 8:15 or so, just north of Lewisburg. There was some damage reported on Highway 56, but no injuries reported with that one. We've, again, just had a string of these so far this morning. And this next one, of course, we take very seriously. We'll send it over to Anthony for another wide look at what's happening.
Yeah, it's been amazing watching this system, Elizabeth, and we've been talking about Debbie here the past couple of days. It was a hurricane at landfall down in Florida, then it weakened to a tropical storm. It still is barely hanging on to tropical storm strength. We'll see what the Hurricane Center does here at the 11 o'clock advisory. The thing to know, though, about this system, as we leave this on the wide view, the center is almost clearly picking up there up into South Carolina, pushing up to the north and west right there. The number of tornado warnings that has come out of this system, you see them on those outer feeder bands. It comes off the Atlantic and it just continues to feed on itself as far as the moisture is concerned. This is a 6-hour loop and you just see all of those polygons. Now over 15 tornado warnings that we've seen so far this morning. We'll put on kind of where we sit currently here. We do have just one lone one, but I do think as we go through the rest of today, based on what we've seen this morning, we may still see some more get issued here through this afternoon. There's a look at this warning. It goes until 11 o'clock. It is currently 10:45. We'll see if the Weather Service allows it to go all the way to that 11 o'clock time frame. Sometimes they do cancel them early. Based on what we're seeing here rotation-wise, there's not much rotation showing up anymore. I'll show you, though, why they did issue that warning. If we go back here over the past, let's say 15 minutes or so and walk through this time step, no rotation really showing up, but then I'll pause this here closer to, let's say, about 10:30. That's about when they issued the warning. You can see those reds and greens showing up right there. It's the nature of these kind of tropical systems. They get going very quickly and then they start to spread on out. And Elizabeth, I think at this point, that appears to be what we are seeing, is that rotation is very, very broad at the moment.
Yeah, we can see that here on this rotation tool that I'm looking at, just a slightly different look at rotation than what you're looking at. But you can really see it looks like it's falling apart, which is definitely good news. That rotation is starting to move on over into Granville County and across parts of Vance County as well. I wanted to touch on this because obviously we all know that tornadoes can be very dangerous, but flooding is another issue that we're having today. Flooding tends to be the biggest killer during a tropical system. We have inland flooding like we're seeing right now, and people drive their cars into flooded roads, and that's where they get in trouble. So I just wanted to, just in the last 10 minutes, we've gotten several reports of flash flooding. One of those in Laurinburg and Scotland County. Several swiftwater rescues are ongoing this morning in Scotland County because of the heavy rain. In Goldsboro, several roads are flooded there. We've got, again, in Laurinburg, some of those roads are Graham Road, Barnes Ridge Road, Peabridge Road. There was another one I wanted to tell you about. This one is in Orange County. Southern Orange County, Jones Ferry Road, where Phil's Creek is overflowing. So just a lot of water on the roads out there. Stay at home if you possibly can. Again, it does look like we're most likely seeing this beginning to weaken a little bit. We still just have about a little over 10 minutes left on the warning. But I feel like when we take a look at what's happening out there with all of our tools to look at rotation, that it looks like it's beginning to weaken just a little bit. So Anthony, do you have more to say, or shall we wrap it up for the moment?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. I will add at least just kind of a zoomed in view real quick for us, because like you said, the rotation is definitely weakening at this point. Where we'd be talking about that focus right there, there is Wood State Road. You can see a 167, I believe, right there. Some of these roads are a little bit smaller, but of course we're still watching it pretty closely. Essex up in the northeast, and then this is Richardson Road right there. So this would be the broad area of rotation. Otherwise, Elizabeth, though, like you mentioned, thankfully it is starting to kind of weaken. If it continues, though, we'll continue to track it here through the next couple of hours.
Yeah, so for now, we're going to continue to stand here and keep our eyes on it. In the meantime, I'm going to send it over to Ken. I was just talking about all those roads that are really starting to flood. Ken, what are you seeing?
What we're seeing right now, we're monitoring a slowdown